Hi. So this camera is really not very good, but it's the best that I can do for right now. And I really feel like I have been listening to a lot of very inspirational speakers, and a lot is going on right now. And I think that there's a lot of confusion going on about what is the right thing to do in these times that we're in. We're being called upon to do something. We have decisions to make, and it's really hard to know what is the right thing to do. And so, I mean, the latest thing for in my world is the vaccine, but that's just one of many things that are going on. And I'm really encountering people are having to make some really hard decisions, and I need to make my own decision. And as a healthcare professional, I need to make a decision based on, what I feel called to do. That doesn't mean everybody has to make the same decision, and that doesn't mean I judge anybody that makes a different decision. It's just, and then that got me to thinking about how do we make these decisions, and how do we know how much to do and what to choose. And it can be really confusing and frustrating. So it really that whole thought process got me down to, um, really what it comes down to is what is the truth? And then you have to decide, do you even believe in truth? So what is truth? So I was thinking, I mean, I don't want to get too much in the weeds with philosophy and all of that, but basically you have to decide, do I believe in truth, or do I believe in relativity and feelings and personal experiences ruling what is reality and what is right and wrong? Because ultimately, basically, truth is outside of our own selves. So the way that we can interpret truth and the way that we experience truth, that is based on our experiences and our feelings, but that doesn't define what truth is. Ultimately, truth is what we're seeking. And so um, we judge our experiences and our feelings based on what we know is truth, right? And so if we find out, we need to be open to finding out that something that our perception of something, or that our feelings is wrong based on information that we have learned about what is true. We can't be stuck in our own perceptions. Okay, so that so how do we judge? Like, how do we know? The only things that we have to go by to decide what is true are our senses, right? What we see, what we feel with our hands and our bodies, what we can taste and smell and hear. And also, um, we have what's called a sixth sense, just a feeling that something isn't right. And we also have our common sense, and that's based on our experiences and our understanding of the world around us. And that if something doesn't fit with those things, then there's something wrong. And then we need to try to figure out what's wrong. Is what's wrong the way that we're perceiving it, or is what's wrong something that's not right, something that's not true about what we're being presented with and what we're being told and what we're being shown and what we're being told to believe? If there's something not right about it, then we're supposed to be allowed to ask questions. And if you're not allowed to ask questions, that's a big red flag. that maybe what you're being presented with might not be true. So what, some examples of some evidence that there is truth and there is right and wrong, like take sports for example. Say you're playing a game of basketball, football, whatever it is that you're doing, or a board game, or any kind of anything that has competition involved. Somebody is going to outperform, and somebody is going to end up being the winner in the end. The person or persons or people or whoever who did not come out on top, they're going to feel bad about it. They're going to want to make excuses about why they didn't come out on top. But the fact of the matter is that they didn't win. And so the truth is that this group or person won and the other group or person didn't come out on top. And that's the truth, right? So truth is a real thing. There's no such, like this whole thing of it's all relative, everything is relative. No, everything is not relative. There is truth that we need to seek for. Okay, so if you don't believe that, then really, then there's no point. Really, you just go with what you feel. So you don't even need to listen to anything else I have to say, because everything that I have to say going forward is based in the fact that there's truth. Okay, so there's truth in science, and right now we're trying to determine what is true about what we're being told as far as this COVID-19 pandemic. There are a lot of things that don't make sense, a lot of things that we're being told that just don't add up. Um, the efficacy of the PPE. We were told at first not to wear masks, then we were told to wear masks. Now we're finding out that the masks are causing problems, that the masks are polluting the ocean, that there's all kinds of the masks might be causing us to catch more things, causing us to not have as much oxygen, yet we're still being told to wear the mask and we're not allowed to question it. What is the contagion level? We were told that asymptomatic people can't spread it. Then we're finding out that there's studies that asymptomatic people really can't spread it, and which goes along with every other disease in the whole world, is that if you're asymptomatic, you really don't have a high enough load of the viral load in order to spread it to other people. Um, the positive tests. These tests are very faulty, and but we're not allowed to question those numbers. The death rates. I think we've all heard stories about how people are hit by a car, but because they had a positive COVID test somewhere in their history, then it's called a COVID test, COVID death, right? We've all, I think, heard these stories, and I've personally experienced these in the place that I work in. So, but we're not supposed to question that either. Anytime we're not supposed to question something, it really makes you suspicious about how much truth is involved in what you're being told, right? Also, the other thing is you can look it up on the World Health Organization about the flu. Where did the flu go? We're told all these deaths, all these COVID deaths, all these people in the hospital with COVID right now. 168 people in Albany Hospital with COVID, I heard today. Um, well, how many with the flu? I mean, last year there was more than that with the flu in the hospital, so we were told 2 people died recently, one in their 80s, one in their 50s in Albany, of the COVID. Okay, well, how many died of the flu? How come we're not talking about that? You can, on the World Health Organization site, it shows you the charts that the flu is non-existent this year. How does that make sense? Why can't we talk about that? Right? So as far as um also, I'm just going to stay on the truth, and then I'll get back to how the vaccine, how I'm making my decision. But truth in politics, they're controlling the narrative with media and tech giants. I mean, I never thought in my lifetime I would see where all of the major media outlets are basically government controlled. They're basically controlled. They are 100% controlled by the narrative is controlled by these people that are that are globalists trying to take over this country. I mean, literally, our country is getting taken over, or at least the attempt is being made. Um, they're covering up money laundering, sex trafficking, population control efforts, the Chinese takeover, the global economy that they're trying to implement. They're trying to destroy churches and small businesses, which is places where people congregate. People have independence, independent thought, independent conversations, independent um, ways of making a living. And and instead, these large corporations are increasing their wealth by leaps and bounds, billions of dollars. So, but we're not allowed to talk about that. We're not allowed to question that. There's massive election fraud. We're not definitely not allowed to talk about that. I mean, it's thousands of people have signed affidavits of the election fraud that they've seen. And I mean, these are things that they've seen. We talked about how do you decide what is true? They saw it with their own eyes. These things are proven, and we aren't allowed to talk about it. So how do you stand up for truth? Um, this is a personal decision that you have to make. First of all, you have to try to decide what is true as far as you can tell, as far as you can know. We can't know all truth, right? But as far as we can know, what is true. Then you have to decide the next thing that you have to decide. So there are two elements to this. One is what is true as far as you can tell. And the second one is what are you willing to pay to stand up for the truth? And that is a personal decision that you have to make. Nobody can make that decision for you. And don't ever judge another person based on what they are willing to pay to stand up for the truth. We all need to make that decision for ourselves. We cannot bully each other into standing up for the truth. We cannot shame people into standing up for the truth. We need to love each other. We need to support each other. And every little bit that we all contribute to standing up for the truth matters. Every bit of it. And as long as we hold the truth in our minds and in our hearts, even if externally we're complying with what they want us to do, we're standing up for the truth just by holding it in our mind and in our hearts. So you need to do what you need to do to have a clear conscience, number one, and to love those that are around you. You need to keep yourself pure in your conscience, and you need to love those that are around you. So, number one, decide what's true. Number two, decide what you're willing to pay for that truth, to stand up for that truth. And number one, protect your conscience. And number two, protect your heart by loving those that are around you. Those are the main important things that you need to do. So, what kind of things can you do to stand up for the truth? You can share an article or post a story. You can make a point by sharing information during a conversation. You can take your mask down and smile at somebody. You can hug somebody when they're in distress or when they really need it. You can attend rallies. You can support small businesses. You can get politically involved. You can call representatives. and you can refuse to comply. So for me, as far as the vaccine is concerned, I wear the mask in stores because I feel like those are private businesses and they have every right to require me to wear a mask, just like they require me to wear a shirt and shoes. If they are going to require me to wear a mask, then I'll wear a mask. It doesn't hurt me necessarily. So I'm willing to do that. I'm not willing to pay the price of not being able to shop in the store because I won't wear a mask. So that's just a decision that I made. But as far as the vaccine is concerned, I feel like it's harmful. I feel like I don't appreciate the fact that the regulations were taken down to rush this vaccine. I don't agree with that. And I think that, and I have heard stories of really severe adverse effects. I don't know what this is going to do to people. I do have children that are in the military, and so I know that they are probably going to have to take it. And so I hope and pray that they will be protected. I will encourage them to do a cleanse and take lots of vitamin C and zinc and vitamin D and all of the immune boosters, and just hope and pray that they will be okay. I don't think it's going to destroy the population. But for me, as a healthcare provider, a healthcare professional, I feel like I need to take the stand and say, no, I will not do it. I will not be bullied. I will not be forced into compliance. I will stop being a nurse if that's what it takes. I will lose my job and go do something else if that's what it takes, because I feel like for me, that's what I need to do to have a clear conscience. I need to set that example for the people that I work with and for the people that are in my lives that are looking to me to set an example. And so that's why I'm making the decision to not take this vaccine. I don't judge people that do. I understand that there are people that don't have a choice and that they need to do what they need to do. Um, so I just wanted to share that and make that clear. And I just I just really hope that 2021 is going to be the year that we look back on 2020 with clear vision on all the things that have been revealed to us, and that we can just clean out all the garbage and all the evil, and that truth will prevail, and that we'll be able to have a much better year and better years going forward for my children and my grandchildren. So I love you all, and I just really felt strongly that I needed to share this. So take care.